Coach Jesse again at Ascend Fitness. One of my favorite topics, what to do instead of dieting. If you've ever tried a diet, how did that work out? Were you able to stick with it? How long? We're going to look into those reasons. As far as diets, if you've ever done one, I've literally done almost every diet, especially all the main trending ones. And that's what's interesting about the world of nutrition. It's always some kind of trend. It was low carb, Atkins, keto. Now carnivore is really popular. Intermittent fasting. In the world of nutrition, companies are looking to sell stuff. Companies are, even in the food industry, it's like avocados had a rise in popularity. Plant oils had a rise in popularity. Now it's all about organic and cage-free and all this stuff. And again, I'm not saying there's not value in that. And we're going to just cut through to the main stuff in this series. Now, if you ever tried to follow a diet plan, I've literally done all of them that I can think of. And I've struggled. Like, there's reasons why, like weighing your food. That's not very fun, especially if you have to do it all the time, counting every single calorie. Maybe the food list is very restrictive. What do you do when you go out to eat? What do you do when you didn't make a plan and you don't have food and now, you're hungry and you're out in your car, so you got to drive through somewhere. And then once you start looking at that menu, everything on there is looking good. This is why typical diet plans don't work, is because they don't engage and stay relevant to the way that you're living your life and what you actually need. The other thing is, it seems like the overarching backdrop of a diet plan is like, it assumes that the problem is you just don't know what to eat. And that's not true. Pretty much everyone could tell you what's healthy for them and what's not. Looking deeper into nutrition, we have to think about our whole relationship with food, our relationship with eating. And what I mean by that is why you eat, when you eat, what you put on your plate, how much of that, how often. So like a real solid nutrition, a nutrition plan or a system, a lifestyle with nutrition has to encompass all these things. What do we eat for high protein? Where do we eat, right? Think about all the different places you eat. Home, different parts of your home, different people's houses, restaurants, your car. When do you eat? Who you eat with? You have a whole lifestyle around food. We eat every day. We think about food multiple times a day. And so it's just a more complicated thing than just a list of good and bad foods. So principle number one is we need a holistic view. We have to think about the whole picture. Principle number two is, and this is one thing people get wrong all the time, and it's so simple, and we have to fight the urge, but you have to go for the broad strokes first. If you're painting a wall, like if your whole goal is to get that wall covered, you better get the biggest brush you can. And if you happen to miss a spot, then you can come in with a little small brush and put those dots in. Macronutrients and calorie balance are the big strokes, the low-hanging fruit. Like, we don't care about organic or if it has this preservative or this sweetener. It's like, yeah, those things are cool, but if I want to, and they do have their place. But again, that's a small stroke. Case in point, there's organic Oreos. They have just as much sugar. It happens to be organic. Okay, great. The sugarcane when they grew the sugarcane, it didn't have such and such pesticide. It's still sugar. It's still the same amount of calories. It just didn't have a pesticide in it. The pesticide is not the reason why we need to lose weight and stop eating them. It's the sugar. It's the carbs. It's the calories. I'm just giving an example, but this is real. Like, again, going back to the food industry, it goes in these trends and it's just trying to sell more stuff. We have to think what's best for us. So we have to stick with the broad strokes, which are, at the end of the day, how many calories did I eat? Furthermore, what type of calories are represented in that end of the day number? How many fats, how many protein, how many carbs? Now, typically in America, we can pretty much get whatever we want, whenever we want it, and however much quantity, relatively speaking. And when it comes to food, we're really making decisions out of convenience, what we feel like, what other people feel like. I feel like eating this. I don't feel like eating that. And it's just all about us and what we feel like or don't feel like or what we want or what we don't want. And I'm not saying that we don't have preferences for a reason. I'm just saying we do that at the cost of what our body needs. And I call this a top-down approach. We are caring more about what our mind and taste bud wants than what our body needs. And so my third principle is we need to flip that. We need a bottom-up approach. What does the body need? And many times that is satisfying to the mind, but satisfying the mind is not the central point of eating. We have to flip that upside down and then it will be right side up, because in America and just our culture today, that is upside down. We do not primarily eat for the secondary benefit of it tasting good. That is an amazing thing. God put it in food. Like it's those chemicals interact with our taste buds and all that. That's amazing. But what we really need is the nutrition out of it. So that has to be our primary focus when we eat. Now, in this series, we're going to get into a lot of detail. We're going to go into all the intricacies of calories and calorie balance, the macronutrients, a little bit on micronutrients. We're going to talk about how insulin affects things. And the outcome of this is you're going to know what it looks like for a person to build a healthy lifestyle, have the right perspectives, and know like what to eat in a day, what to eat if I'm working out, what to eat if I'm not working out. If my goal is this, if my goal is that, how do I put supplements into the mix? We're going to get into how hunger and appetites really work. So our main takeaways, we have to have a holistic view of our entire lifestyle and relationship with food. We start with the broad strokes. Restrain yourself to only focus on the broad strokes. And that bottom-up approach, we have to focus on the needs of our body first, then preferences.